On today's Locked On Mavs, Locked On Kings crossover. Why are we here? What are these teams? Mavs, Kings, they've both changed a lot over the season. Let's talk about it all in today's Locked On Mavs, Locked On Kings crossover right now. And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks and the Sacramento Kings, your teams every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. And I'm joined by Matt George of Locked On Kings, who is from ABC 10. Done an amazing job on Locked On Kings forever. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Let's get into it, Matt George. Today's episode, we'll get into what are these teams, because they've changed so much over the last couple. We really haven't even seen the Mavericks team at full strength much. We've seen the Kings somewhat at full strength, but now Malik Monk is out, and so we'll talk about what that team looks like. We'll talk about AD versus Sabonis. Is this just like we're just rehashing the same kind of thing over again? And we'll talk about why we're really here, I guess, and all that. But Let's start on the Mavs side, Matt George. What's the first thing you want to know about this version of the Mavericks team on the court?
Are the Dallas Mavericks joining the Sacramento Kings as the only 9-10 teams who want the play-in band? Like, get rid of it.
I think the Heat may be on that right now.
Oh, man. Well, look, we'll talk about the Sacramento Kings and get into the Kings specifically in the next segment. I think this is a Kings team that is made for the play-in a lot of ways, which is not a good thing. It's not a positive, trust me. Well, and again, we'll dive into that more, but I guess the first question is like, what is this Mavs team even made for? Like, if you're looking at this Mavs team and saying they are making it to the playoffs because of this, What is this? Especially with Kyrie out.
This is Anthony Davis. This that I'm holding up right here. He would be the best player in this game. Right? He should be. He should be the best player in this game. And that's what he should be. And there have been times when he's looked like it, and there have been many times when he hasn't looked like it. He's come back from the injury. He missed a bunch of weeks, missed like 7 weeks with his injury. It's the second most amount of time he's ever missed consecutively with one single injury in a season. And so if he is the best player on the court, I think then the Mavs team looks like this. They have this dynamic defense where they play big with AD and Derek Lively starting, and then Gafford playing with him too, and then PJ Washington as a 3, which is, it's just a big lineup. Klay Thompson as a 2 even. It's just a big lineup overall. Kid has even started Najee Marshall with that group, which is just a massive, everybody's over 6'7" basically group. And then all of a sudden, you're just this massive team that defends the rim really well. You rebound, you dominate the paint on both sides of it, and that's what you look like as a Dallas Mavericks team. We just have not seen that team very much. PJ, Lively, and Gafford and AD have only played like 2 or 3 games together. It's just really, we haven't seen that very much at all. And so I can answer some questions about what they're supposed to be, but we just really haven't even seen this team on the court. They've been very theoretical so far this season.
But theoretically, is AD healthy? Like, I won't say 100% healthy, because really nobody's 100% healthy at this point. Everybody's got their bumps and bruises. But like you say, AD's should be the best player on the floor. I'd say reputation-wise, yes. But I don't know if AD is nearly as healthy as DeRozan, LaVine, or even Sabonis is. And Sabonis has been banged up and in and out of the lineup a lot over the past couple of months. So should we even expect like superstar level Anthony Davis? Is that even possible with how hobbled the poor guy has been?
Great question. Yeah. So he's been dealing with this adductor injury, which is, you've seen him like grab his like midsection or whatever. And it has to do with like the muscle that connects the abs to like the pelvis basically. And so it's just this weird injury that's hobbled him, and he looks slower, and I don't know if we can expect him to be fully healthy. We've seen him a couple of games here, and he's been back for a little while playing, and I don't know if we can expect full Anthony Davis. I think we've only seen 1 game since he's returned of him looking like star level Anthony Davis. The rest of the games have been below his standards for sure. And so I don't know. Again, it's like a theoretical. It's theoretical for him. It's theoretical for the Mavericks. But if he's not the best player, I think the Mavericks will have some big problems.
So that's where I'm curious about, is because the Kings are notorious for allowing player B through F to kill them, not just player A. Or player A will have an okay game, but it's a supporting cast member that does them in. And I think everybody initially thinks, okay, Klay Thompson. And I do think this is a big game for Klay Thompson, especially because Klay Thompson went 0 for the Warriors in this exact play-in game last season. So maybe Klay Thompson has a little bit of revenge on the mind, although I feel like he was more mad at the Warriors at the time than he ever was the Sacramento Kings for that game. So is it really as simple as like, if AD isn't a superstar, like Klay Thompson is desperately needed? Is it Spencer Dinwiddie, who's just shooting everything right now and trying to score more than I think he really ever has in his career? Like, who is it outside of Anthony Davis that if you're the Kings, you're like, that's the guy that could kill us?
Man, it changes from night to night. It's this team that's built. Their offense was going to be a problem anyway. Kyrie went down, and then all of a sudden, the offense is even bigger of a problem. Like, if the Mavs were going to be a title contender and they had everybody healthy, their offense would still be a problem with Kyrie and AD. You'd have to figure out, all right, this is a different offense than being led by, you know, a certain heliocentric Slovenian star that we won't have to talk about anymore here, right? And so it could be Najee Marshall. He's had some really great games. He is an amazing driver. He's had one of the best floaters in the NBA this season, where he just gets downhill, stops, pops, pulls up for a little floater. It's just been money at the rim this season. He's had a bunch of 20-point games since Kyrie went down. It could be Spencer Dinwiddie. The moniker I've used for Spencer Dinwiddie is every fifth game you get an awesome Spencer Dinwiddie game. All the other games, you have no idea what you're going to get. It could be terrible. It could be fine. It could be okay. But every fifth game, he's going to be awesome. And he has been this season. And he's had some real stinkers lately. So maybe he's due. Let's hope he's due. If you're a Mavericks fan, listen to this. It could be Daniel Gafford. He's had some really good games too. He's gotten way better on, posting up, and he's been able to take advantage of backup centers. I don't know if that's going to happen with Jonas Valanciunas, because it's normally centers that he towers over, has size against, but he's been somebody that's gone off. It could be Klay Thompson. And so you just go through all these different options. Brandon Williams is another one. He was a two-way guy that's played really well for the Mavericks, and he's like a Kyrie light, like very, very light. He just has that kind of game where very shifty, can get to the rim, finishes really well, his jumper is great, and he's been really great. But he also had an oblique injury in the final game of the season. You're like, what is going on with this team? They've been injured so much. So it's one of those options. And again, I don't really know. If I had to guess one, I would guess it would be Najee Marshall. He's the one that's really stepped up. PJ Washington could be on that list too. He's second in the Mavs in scoring over the last 15 games, averaging like 18 points. He's added some stuff to his game where they try and post him up. He drives and finishes. He's done a lot of stuff for the Mavericks, but it's one of those options, which again is not great, but that's why the Mavs offense has been really tough for them over the last stretch here.
I have to be careful here because I don't want to piss off the basketball gods by trying to insult Anthony Davis, because that's not my point at all. But I've had the feeling,
wait, you just want to lose this game, so go ahead and
actually, you know what? Yeah, Anthony Davis sucks. He's
that's
terrible.
Right. Go and piss him off.
Actually, there's no point in the Kings losing this game at this point in time, because their lottery odds are the same at this point. They
might as well win it.
Almost no chance to keep their pick, so might as well just go as far as that they can go. With like what I was explaining, I was having this conversation with some Kings media members while we were watching the Kings play whatever version of the Suns that was on game 82. I was like I think I would be more afraid of Dallas in this game if you swapped Kyrie and AD's situations. AD is out, Kyrie is in, simply because the Kings perimeter defense is terrible. I'll kind of get to that in my next question, but am I absurd for that? Like, do you think Dallas would feel more confident or have a better chance in this game? Again, not to be disrespectful to Anthony Davis, but if Kyrie were in and AD were out, do you think Dallas would have a better chance or be a more deadly or dangerous group?
I'm with you. And I'm with you too, that I don't think it's about those two players as individual talents. I think we know what the Kyrie without, another star team looks like with this Mavericks team. They've played a bunch of games together. Luka was out was out by Christmas, and he was out even a little bit before then too. So they played with this team for months, even before the trade even happened. And so we know what that team looks like. They have played together. We know they know how to play together. They won games together, all that kind of stuff. We have not seen this team. Like, you can throw together a basketball team like 2K and trot it out there and see what happens. And on paper, is Anthony Davis the best player? And on paper, should this team win? Like, yeah, probably. But then you got to actually play the games. You got to have cohesion. You got to have chemistry. You got to put that together. The Mavs defense requires you to have communication and chemistry and all that. And I don't know that this team has had enough time, which is why I've said on Locked On Mavs, I don't think they're ready for a playoff level atmosphere game, because they haven't played enough games together. Now, maybe they'll pull it off, and maybe they'll beat the Kings enough to in certain areas to win this game. But I'm not sure I'm betting on it. And obviously, FanDuel is not either. They still have the Kings as a 5-point favorite.
I'm confused. For a second, I thought you were talking about the Sacramento Kings, saying you can't just put a team together of talent together like 2K and expect it to be cohesive. That's been the issue with Sacramento since the trade deadline. But Nick, I'll throw two numbers out for you, and you tell me if this does anything for you. Kings are dead last in the NBA in 3-point defense, and they're dead last in the NBA in opponent 3-point percentage in their building. Kings allow teams to shoot damn near 40% from 3-point range in their building. To kill the Kings, you just shoot well. Like that's been their Achilles heel. So it doesn't seem like you're confident in that.
The Mavs have had such a problem since the trades and obviously since Kyrie went down, generating and making 3-point shots. They just do not generate or take enough threes, which is one of these reasons why I'm not confident in this game, is because I've read a lot of stuff about the Kings struggling with 3-point defense and struggling with allowing teams to shoot, certain percentages and all that, and allowing a ton of corner threes this team has this season and things like that. The Mavs just do not generate like that. Now, will they generate a ton for Klay Thompson? And if Klay Thompson hits 8 threes in this game and does get revenge for that game last year, then maybe it's a different story. But it would have to be him. It would have to be PJ Washington making a bunch like he does against the Thunder and nobody else. It would have to be Brandon Williams, maybe Anthony Davis, maybe getting hot. Like, there's just not a ton of really good options there for the Mavs. And I'm not super high on that being a thing that the Mavs take a big advantage on. Did you had one more you were going to give me?
That was it. That's all I got.
Coming up, let's not that's all we got on the Mavs. That's all we know about.
We quit.
Coming up, let's get into the Kings side of it. I want to know about this trio of Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis, especially without Malik Monk. How dangerous are they? What should the Mavs look out for? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Locked on NBA, Locked on Mavs and Kings. Oh, what is this world? Today's episode is brought to you by Open Phone. Go check out Open Phone if you are a small business owner. You have so many things to do. You're trying to cover, you're trying to watch a whole bunch of games because the playoffs are happening and you want to take advantage of all the different things going on in life. There's so many streaming services to keep up with, and you're like, man, I don't have time to do this. I only have one set of work hours. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications all through an app on your phone or your computer. I love that you don't have to carry multiple phones. With Open Phone, you can manage business calls and text from one app, whether you're on the desk or on the go. You can also bring in the shared inbox, so you could bring in other people from your team to work on different things without missing a beat. The AI call transcripts and summaries save you time, which is awesome. Open Phone is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months on openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. It's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you're switching from another service, Open Phone will even port your existing numbers over at no extra charge. Gonna love that. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Also, Amazon Fire Stick TV is sponsoring this show as well. Do you know your Fire Stick is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire Stick TV 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports, College Football's 2025 to Call of Duty, all kinds of great stuff. You're going to love the Fire Stick TV. Take advantage of it. Go get one at amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. They're affordable. Play high quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. If you already have a console, a Fire Stick TV 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take you or your kids' games wherever you plug in. Take advantage of this. Head to amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire Stick TV 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Take advantage of this. Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, Locked On Kings, the crossover. It's the play-in game that we've all been waiting for. Both these teams at the start of the season expected to be in this position, are happy to be in this position, are ecstatic to be in this position. All right, let's talk about the Sacramento Kings and all of this.
I don't want to.
So the Sacramento Kings make the trade of De'Aaron Fox, and they acquire Zach LaVine, and now they've become the 2023 Bulls plus Domantas Sabonis, basically.
Yep.
Is what they've become. What's been the biggest strength of that trio?
Well, I do really think this is a team that a play-in scenario is perfect for. I think out of all the teams in the Western play-in picture, well, the Warriors are 100% the best team. That's the reason why they're in 7. But I think the Sacramento Kings, I think all three of the other teams would look at the Kings and say that's the team that we're most concerned by or that's most dangerous. Because in a one-off type scenario, they can beat anybody. They went 3-1 this season against the Cavs and the Celtics, right? And all of that under Doug Christie, right? So this is a team that can win one-off games. If the NBA playoffs were March Madness winner take all single game elimination bracket, I think the Kings could make a run. Once they actually get into a best of 7 playoff series, though, when this team is required to be consistent, there is no consistency with this team. It's just highs and lows. So the strengths of that group is that really between LaVine and DeRozan, both of those guys or one of those guys can close. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks know very well DeRozan hit a game winner and beat Dallas in Dallas earlier this season by dropping 40. Zach LaVine.
God, that was this season.
Yeah, it was this season. Yes. Zach LaVine, you were probably 3 glasses of wine deep at that point.
How long ago was that?
This season's been nuts. Zach LaVine is the microwave scorer. He can catch fire at any point, really get the crowd going, knock down a lot of threes. But he also has a reputation of disappearing in big games, and Sacramento is eager to see if that reputation is true or not here for the Kings. And then Domantas Sabonis we all know who Sabonis is. I mean, he's a very, very extremely talented, extremely skilled player whose first impulse is to pass the basketball. His first instinct is not to look to score. Now, he's had success and dominated Anthony Davis in the past, but that's when AD was wearing Laker yellow, not Mavericks blue. So we'll see if that's any kind of difference.
I heard that was different this year, though.
It has been different this year. The Kings have been struggling against Anthony Davis teams this year, but when he hasn't played, the Kings have had no problem beating the teams that he's supposed to be on. Look, this group has a tremendous amount of talent, but kind of like we joked about earlier, they feel like a team that you just put together on the trade machine or NBA 2K. Yeah. They just feel like a team that is they're chaos. If they're on, they could destroy the Mavericks by 30. I genuinely believe that. I'm not just talking, but them being on feels like a coin flip. It's like we just show up to the arena every night going, what version of the Kings are we going to get? So I guess we'll see.
I remember after the trade on Locked On Kings, you talked about how Malik Monk has basically been there, or maybe it was a squad show you joined, that Malik Monk has basically been the point guard for them. He's been the guy that's been the best distributor as far as a guard, non-Sabonis version, but that he's been that guy. Now he's out, and they kind of haven't started a point guard really because they don't really have any options. They've started Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray with those other 3, and how has that gone without starting a guard like that? Because the Mavs have kind of done the similar thing like I talked about with Najee Marshall.
Yeah, the Kings don't have a point guard. They don't. I mean, they're not going to play Markelle Fultz. Like they don't have a point guard. Devin Carter kind of does his best as a rookie, but he's not necessarily a true point guard either. That is how, if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, that is how I'm looking to exploit the Sacramento Kings. This team will turn the ball over. Like if you can turn them over, that's how you beat them. Because when Domantas Sabonis is aggressive, it's awesome. We want Sabonis to be more aggressive. Typically, there's turnovers associated with that. Zach LaVine's not a natural playmaker. He's going to turn the ball over if you put the ball in his hands and expect him to play make. Now, everybody by committee has kind of stepped up with their responsibilities. The Kings are still going to play tremendously through Domantas Sabonis, or at least they should with the DHO. DeMar DeRozan's assists have been up significantly since the trade. DeRozan has kind of taken over more of a facilitator role, but his first instinct is to get to his spots and shoot his shot and work in isolation, not to get his teammates involved. So if the Mavs can 1, turn the Kings over, and 2, get the Kings into isolation play, which is a bad habit that they fall into at times, that's where the Sacramento Kings are vulnerable. But if the Kings are moving the ball well and spacing the floor, they should win. But who knows, in the freaking plan.
I know. That's the thing. Like Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan is the thing that I would be scared of if I was the Mavericks the most. Just them getting so hot like we've seen. What was that game recently? They both almost had 40 where they just were just scorching. I mean, they were just dominating. You go, okay, well, then the Mavs will allow a bunch of those jump shots like that. They'll allow a bunch of those mid-range jumpers, and they won't let you get to the basket, but they'll allow you to take those mid-range jumpers and things like that. And so I think that's something to definitely watch out for both of them. defensively, where have you found the Kings to be vulnerable besides we talked about that? I guess we talked about the 3-point shot, but
Well, they don't have rim protection. Like Sabonis is just not a rim protector. It doesn't mean he's a bad defender. He's a phenomenal rebounder. And he's underrated, I think, as a defender because of the fact that he doesn't block shots. But the Kings have to focus so much on the interior and they help and switch everything that it just opens up opportunities on the perimeter. Plus, they only really have one guy that's 6'8", 6'9", and Keegan Murray. So Keegan led the team in blocks this season with, I think, 69 of them. Keon Ellis was second with 63, also led the team in steals with 121. So Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray are the defensive front, the defensive force of Sacramento. And they're good. Like Keon will harass and bother Klay or Dinwiddie or whoever they put him on. Keegan, I don't think will handle Anthony Davis, but Keegan might get some opportunity on Anthony Davis. He's going to float around and he can guard pretty much 1 through 4. So the Kings have enough defenders to make an impact, but they're never going to be known as a defensively solid team. And the perimeter is where they've always been weak. So we've seen so many teams, the Orlando Magic over the last 3 seasons have been bottom, if not like second to last in 3-point shooting percentage. And they've come into Sacramento and shot lights out 3 years in a row, right? There's a confidence to teams playing Sacramento knowing that they're going to get their looks. So you talk about the Mavericks not generating threes and not knocking down threes. That's something they've struggled with this season. Sacramento's been like the Robitussin or the ibuprofen of the league with getting your shooting right. So that's where I think like turnovers and 3-point shooting is how the Mavericks or any team exploits Sacramento.
We'll see if they do it. Coming up, how do the Kings handle size? What's going on with the Mavericks and Anthony Davis? And we'll get into more stuff coming up. Locked On Mavs, Locked On Kings. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs, Locked On Kings, brought to you by Skims. I'm wearing Skims underwear right now. I'm sorry if that's too much information for you, but I just need to tell you how comfortable they are. I'm wearing Skims because I have really enjoyed them. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, just finding the right style for me. Skims changed all of that. They keep their shape. The band doesn't feel like it folds over or you have issues with it riding up, things like that. I love Skims. They sent us a free pair and I bought more because I really enjoy them. I'm hooked on them right now. They're perfect for an active lifestyle. They move with me, never lose their shape, stay in place all day, whether working or just running errands or just sitting here doing podcasts all day, which is kind of what I do sometimes. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. They have brick and mortar stores too. So check those out. Skims Men's, skims.com/LockedOnNBA, and let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu, skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Locked On Mavs, Locked On Kings crossover. You've got a daily newsletter with both of our teams and all the teams in the NBA, but LockedOnDaily.com. Go check out the newsletter, subscribe to it, get it sent in your inbox every single day. All right, Matt George. How do the Kings deal with size? We speculate on Locked On Mavs that we may see the Sabonis, Jonas.
Yes.
Dual tandem bigs, but we've only seen, according to Cleaning the Glass, like 23 possessions of that all season. And they haven't gone to that at all. Do you think that they may in a game like this?
Potentially, just because of the size that the Mavericks have, but it's not a lineup that you'll see in heavy bursts. It might be a 1 to 2 minute stretches of it, but it's something that the Kings kind of experimented with. Doug Christie kind of tried, but we haven't seen it in like a month. It's also been because Sabonis has been in and out of the lineup with multitude of different injuries recently. But if the Kings pull it out, it'll be something that's different. I know, I saw their facial expression. I was trying to think of a different way to put it, but pause. If the Kings use it, it'll be something it'll be a refresher for us as well. It's just something we haven't seen reliably enough to really say like that's something the Kings can rely on. I will say having Jonas Valanciunas though, to where when Sabonis comes out of the game, the Kings don't colossally just fall off a cliff at the center position. So Sabonis doesn't have to play 40 minutes in this game if he doesn't want to or can't. That's a big deal. So Valanciunas, even if they're just playing for one another and subbing each other out, having Valanciunas out there is a huge boost for Sacramento that they have not had in any of the Beam team eras so far to this point.
Yeah, the Mavs had a center like saga as well too. Obviously, they had Dwight Powell in 2022 when they went to the Western Conference Finals, and they would bring in Maxi Kleber. The Maxi Kleber would get hurt a lot. Then it was Dwight Powell, Maxi, and Christian Wood. They tried that, and Mavs fans just wanted a center for so long. It's like they feel like they didn't have a center rotation since 2011 with Tyson Chandler and Brendan Haywood coming off the bench. And finally, then you get Derek Lively, you draft him. You're like, all right, here we go. Let's go. We've got a center of the future. And then you trade for Daniel Gafford, and you feel like what the Kings have right now. It's just two solid centers that you can always rely on. It's just such a luxury, especially in the regular season, to have rebounding, to have rim protection, to have size, to have finishing all the time on the court. Now you bring in Anthony Davis, and you're like, okay, and now it's almost too much, and we don't have enough in the guard position right now. I can't imagine why that would happen, but but now it's like, yeah, it's almost too much. But yeah, why are we here? Like, how did both of these teams get to this position? And like, do you think the Kings even want to win this game? Because it feels like you're done. I know a lot of Mavericks fans are done with this season too.
Oh, the Kings absolutely want to win this game. And to me, the nightmare scenario, and I guess pissed a lot of Kings fans off over the course of this season, just with my overall pessimism and just disinterest with this team and the direction of this organization. All of a sudden, there's this scenario in my head that infuriates me, that the Sacramento Kings will try and convince themselves and convince us, like a bunch of brainless sheep, that if they were to somehow make the playoffs by winning 2 play-in games with this group, that's a successful season. They've accomplished their goal, and they were built upon last year. They had a better year than last year when they won 46 games. This team won 40 games. It's only the 10th time in the history of the Sacramento Kings that they've won 40 or more games, which is pathetic, but that's just the reality of the situation. 40 games is still a losing season. Oh, what a wet blanket you are, Matt George. Oh, why do you got to bring down the mood, Matt George? No, that's just the reality of the situation. This season has sucked. Yeah. This season's not good. This team is not good. There's a reason why they're in the play-in. And if we want to hang our hat on winning a pair of games to earn the right to get rinsed by the Oklahoma City Thunder, like, be my guest. Okay, win these games. Great. It doesn't mean anything. You're still going into a summer where you have to ask a lot of questions. The answers are all ugly, and you have a lot of really tough decisions to make. So I have to separate the logical Matt George with the emotional Matt George for the next 2 games and just go, well, this is kind of fun. Let's enjoy this. Or maybe it's 1 game. Maybe it ends tomorrow. This is kind of neat. We got another game in the Golden One Center. Hey, this is kind of fun. The energy's great. Because if you think past that about what this team actually is and what everything matters beyond this game, it's depressing here in Sacramento, in my opinion, at least right now.
Oh, I forgot. Stopped realizing for a second that I wasn't just listening to an episode of Locked On Kings.
Oh, it'll get worse. It'll get worse. Hey, look, I will say, shout out the rest of the league, because the Kings were vindicated for 2 separate terrible mistakes this season. The Mavericks traded Luka Doncic away, so the Kings are no longer the idiots that passed on Luka Doncic. Well, they still are, but no longer alone on that hill, because Nico made it worse.
Let me just say, I'll never bring up the parody again, Matt. It's done.
You don't need them. You want to collab on a music video, you don't need them. We can triple down.
That music video would be really sad.
It would. It's depressing. And the Nuggets fired Michael Malone, which the Kings did that first. So really, the Kings are trendsetters in the league, and everybody's just trying to follow suit. That's what I'm going for.
Well, and they brought in Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. The Bulls said that didn't work, and the Kings were like,
said, "Yeah, it's bet.
Let's try it again."
It's because you did it wrong. We'll show you how to do it."
On the Mavs side of this, the Mavs, I think, want to win this game too. We've seen this Mavericks team, especially right after the trade and everything. They fought so hard, but then eventually they just ran out of gas. In the last 2 weeks or so, they just look like a team that is still trying, but it's just run out of gas. Kid has rested some of these guys in these last few games, and so hopefully they'll come into this game super motivated. If you're a person that wants the Mavs to win this game, they'll come in super motivated and try to prove something, because they do have something to prove. They didn't really look like that in that Lakers game, and that would have been a situation to prove something for sure. But now, I think Nico Harrison and this Mavs team would want nothing more than to win this play-in game, win another play-in game, go play the Thunder, and maybe they somehow get 1 game on the Thunder. Maybe. And if they do that, they go, well, if we would add Kyrie, then maybe we're 3 more wins away from beating the Thunder, and then who knows what would happen, right? And I think that's the want for them. But I don't know if this team has the ability or the cohesion at this point to do something like that, which we've kind of gone over a bunch. It starts with a one game play-in against a 40-win Sacramento Kings team. Right?
See, I'm trying to figure that part out about Dallas too, because I do think they have more of a chip on their shoulder than Sacramento, just simply because of what they did. Like the Dallas Mavericks strike me as a team that you could sell me on this idea that they're playing with something to prove, versus the Kings are just kind of a group of mercenaries that just think they should be the better team and they're just kind of playing to play. So you could kind of sell me on that idea. But I also think it would be a nightmare for Nico to have this team make it to the playoffs, lose because they don't have a number 1 scoring option, and everybody goes, you know what they could have used in this series? I don't know, a guy wearing number 77.
You know, it'd be really dangerous in a game like this, a guy that could generate a bunch of threes, right? Like,
nope. Defense wins championships, Nick.
That's what was said at some kind of press conference that literally just happened. I'm not going to do predictions. There's no point in doing this. Who do you think wins? Who do you think wins the 7-8?
That's a good point, because I want to bring that up, because this was a conversation in Sacramento. Like every bit of Sacramento Kings fan is rooting for the Warriors, because we want nothing to do with the Warriors. Like nothing to do with them. They've smoked the Kings since the Jimmy Butler trade. I was rooting for, of all the teams, like I was rooting for the Clippers to lose that game, so the Kings would at least only have to play either the Clippers or the Grizzlies. But I think the Kings would beat the Grizzlies. They've done it twice. So I think the Kings or the Mavericks could beat the Grizzlies. I think 8 through 10 is completely wide open. The Warriors should win at home and secure 7. But I don't know. What's the plan?
You'd rather the Clippers look dangerous right now. Kawhi looks like he's back to Kawhi.
So the only reason why is because the Kings played the Clippers recently twice and lost both games by a combined 2 points. A 1-point loss where Kawhi hit a game winner in LA, and then DeMar DeRozan missed a game winner in Sacramento. So I think that the Kings would play that tough and have a chance to win, versus like in the gym since the Jimmy Butler trade, the Warriors have toyed with Sacramento like their children.
Go check out Locked On Kings if you want more on this Kings team, if you want more on the Mavericks and the saga of everything going on with the Mavs. Locked On Mavs, we got you covered. We got you covered, baby, over there with all that kind of stuff.
We got you covered.
I'm learning from Matt George how to do the best rants on this kind of stuff.
Welcome to hell, baby.
Here we go. Go check that out, guys. Thanks for listening to Locked On Mavs, Locked On Kings crossover.